These two wonderful looking gentlemen are the Maxwell brothers, Britain's biggest billionaires, who have just taken over two football clubs in the Vanarama National League. On the left we have Stuart Maxwell, and on the right we have his brother Stephen Maxwell. Now Stuart Maxwell took it upon himself to take over Aveley Football Club in the Vanarama National League South, whereas Stephen Maxwell wanted to go further north, so he took over Farsley Celtic Football Club. Now, Stuart Maxwell is more of a youth individual. He wishes to see youth thrive in football. So this is what he has done. He has gave Aveley Football Club some of the greatest training facilities and youth recruitment services, whereas Stephen Maxwell, on the other hand, has thrown his money into Farsley Celtic straight away, and he has gave the club full ownership to take the money as to how they wish. Let's see how these two new billionaires take over in the world of football. This is Aveley Football Club, who play their football in the Vanarama National League South. Stuart Maxwell's very own football team. Not really much to sing and dance about just yet for Aveley Football Club, as they are predicted to finish in 23rd this current season, 250-1 to actually win the Vanarama National League South. But Stuart Maxwell did state he wants to focus on youth recruitment and also improve the training facilities. So that's exactly what Mr. Maxwell has done. Every single aspect, from the training facilities, youth facilities, junior coaching, youth recruitment, and the corporate facilities have been thrown up to the max. As we said in the intro, Stephen Maxwell has thrown his money straight at Farsley Celtic Football Club. And when I say he has thrown his money at the club, he really has thrown his money at the football club. With Farsley Celtic's transfer budget currently sitting at £1 billion, I wonder who the club are going to sign. And as you probably would have expected, Farsley Celtic are predicted to finish top, way above Kidderminster Harriers, who are expected to finish second, and Scunthorpe, who are predicted to finish third. Well, Stuart Maxwell must have been playing pretty hard for Aveley, as they just about managed to scrape survival in the Vanarama National League, finishing 1 point above Tonbridge Angels. But it's not the league position that I'm curious about at the minute. I would like to see how their youth intake went. It does look as though the club have actually had a rather successful youth intake, with 7 of the first team squad actually having a potential ability of 150 plus. 7 of these players have been thrown into the first team already, and by the looks of it as well, they actually managed to help the club secure their Vanarama National League South status. Not too bad. Now, although Farsley Celtic were predicted to finish top of the Vanarama National League North, they actually finished in 7th in their first season with Stephen Maxwell as the club's new owner. It was actually Chester City who knocked Farsley Celtic out at the playoff first round, losing 2-1 away to Chester, who actually did get themselves promoted along with Spennymoor Town. So maybe not the perfect start to life as an owner of a football club for Stephen Maxwell. And the club did actually bring some players in during the transfer windows of the first season, the majority of them being free transfers, but mainly that was to bulk up the squad for the season ahead. They did spend some money though, and it was actually the highest fee, going around about £100,000. That was with George Lloyd joining from Shrewsbury Town, along with Toto Incelia for £52,000, which was rising up to 69. So this is just the start of the money spending. I wonder just how much they're going to spend in the next season, and let's go and have a look. But it was definitely a season to remember for Aveley Football Club and Stuart Maxwell, as his club finished 3rd in the Vanarama National League. A huge difference in comparison to last season, where the club finished just 1 point above the relegation zone. Such a massive difference for the club this season, finished on 73 4 points. Heartbreaking for Aveley, who lost in the playoff semi-final to Maidenhead United 1-0. Will McGowan scoring the only goal of the game for Maidenhead United. So Aveley don't get promoted this time around. However, there was some good fortune coming to the club because they actually beat Barnet in the FA Trophy Cup final at Wembley in front of 19,000 plus spectators. Dylan Scott scoring the opening goal in the 5th minute before Kabamba equalised for Barnet just before half time. But Frankie Edwards securing the FA Trophy for Aveley Football Club in the 85th minute, only the second season in, and we have our first trophy won by one of our two teams. Superb stuff. And as for Stephen Maxwell, well, his Farsley Celtic will be playing in the Vanarama National League next season after they finished top with 117 points, a whole 20 points difference between second place Rochdale. And it is also Scunthorpe who will be joining Farsley Celtic in the Vanarama National League. Fantastic second season for the club and Stephen Maxwell. Being honest with you, £17.5 million was spent in that second season for Farsley Celtic Football Club. 11.75 million of that being spent on Dennis Kirkin from Tottenham Hotspur, and you just need to look at the names who have been brought into the club: Ross Stewart, John Joe Shelby, Keenan Davis, Reece Burke, Masimbo Luongo, and the list goes on. These players are coming in from a very high standard to Farsley Celtic, so again, it's probably no real wonder as to why they did actually get promoted with 117 points. And season 3 finally sees Aveley promoted up to the Vanarama National League. Stuart Maxwell taking his team up into the next division. They did finish 4 points behind the champions Wealdstone, but Aveley do finish as winners in the playoff final. Chippenham Town, who were playing Aveley in the playoff semi-final, and actually Chippenham Town were 2-0 up after 31 minutes before Destiny Ojo did get a goal back for Aveley in the 37th minute before Dimani Mella drew the two teams level in the 83rd minute, and it was in extra time where Sam Foster scored the winning goal, sending through Aveley Football Club through to the playoff final, where they were victorious against Oxford City, winning 3-1 at Parkside, having the home advantage against Oxford City. Kofi Shaw scoring after 4 minutes, Ethan Harrison equalising for Oxford before Dennis Bossman scoring in the 28th minute, giving Aveley a 2-1 lead going into half-time, and it was Destiny Ojo 3 minutes from full-time who secured promotion up to the Vanarama National League for Aveley Football Club. And further brilliant news for the Maxwell brothers, as Farsley Celtic are crowned champions of the Vanarama National League, winning the league on 88 points, 3 points above Cheltenham, who actually don't go up with Farsley Celtic, as it's Dagenham and Redbridge who will be joining Farsley Celtic in League 2. You heard it right here, it's back-to-back promotions for Farsley Celtic, who will be playing their football in League 2 next season. We're not going to go through every single season with both clubs, we are going to skip ahead a few years. So it is now the 31st of May 2028. We are with Aveley Football Club, but let's have a look where they are. Judging by this table, Aveley Football Club are actually playing their football in League 2 and will do for next season, and as they just about managed to survive relegation by 2 points, just ahead of Swindon Town and Morecambe. So that's pretty good stuff for Aveley. What about Farsley Celtic? Well, would you look at that? Farsley Celtic in 2028 have won the Sky Bet League 1 and only 1 point above Oxford United. Farsley Celtic winning with 105 points, 104 points to Oxford. I do feel slightly sorry for Sheffield Wednesday, thinking that 100 points would actually be enough to secure them promotion, and it doesn't, and actually lost out in the playoffs. And it's Wigan Athletic who will be joining Farsley Celtic and Oxford United in the Championship. You heard it right, Farsley Celtic will be playing Championship football next season. Whilst Aveley Football Club were relying on free transfers from other teams across the nation, Farsley Celtic have actually spent 9.25 million. The majority of that money spent coming from Freddie Woodman at Leeds United for 9 million. Now, I do just want to make a note of this. 9.25 million spent in the season of 27-28. The season before was 62 million pound. What an amount! That is ridiculous. Just have a look at this. Felipe Relvas from West Ham United, 20.5 million. Another player from Luton, Ogbene, 11.5 million. Amadou Onana from Aston Villa, 11.25 million. And the list goes on. No wonder they have just won promotion up to the Championship. With that amount of money that's being spent, you could probably believe that they would be playing football in the Championship next season. That is ridiculous. Well, something else that I did notice as well, Farsley Celtic have actually got rid of their old manager, Clayton Donaldson, and they have actually hired Eddie Howe. The Eddie Howe, the former manager of Newcastle United, Bournemouth, Burnley. This, I tell you what, this is madness. But this is what money does. This is how money should be spent for a club like Farsley Celtic. The owner of the club knows who he wants in charge of this club, and he has chosen Eddie Howe to lead Farsley Celtic into the Championship. Now, we've seen where both teams are. How did they actually get to where they are? So this was the end of 26-27, where Aveley just narrowly missed out on automatic promotion as champions in the Vanarama National League, going up to League 2, and they only missed out by 1 point. So they actually went up via the playoffs. It was a 2-0 win for Aveley against Gillingham in the Vanarama National League playoff semi-final. Goals from Case Gordon in the 22nd minute and Ben Beresford in the 60th minute, putting Aveley into the final, where they were playing up against Boreham Wood Football Club in the playoff final at Wembley, with Manny Norkit, Charlie Wellens and Ben Beresford scoring 3 goals in 11 minutes for Aveley before Boreham Wood secured a consolation goal in the final. Well, we've jumped a further 4 years ahead, and it's now the 31st of May 2032. Aveley had just about managed to survive in League 2 the last time we saw them. Where are they now? Well, they're not in League 2 anymore. They're actually in League 1, and they've just finished the end of season 31-32 in 16th place. Quite a difference from where we last saw them in League 2, where they had just about managed to survive relegation back down to the Vanarama National League. Well, they had only just managed to secure promotion from League 2 the season before. 2030-2031 was the season where Aveley won promotion to Sky Bet League 1 as champions, finishing in top place on 82 points. Now, I do know that Stuart Maxwell did have his sole focus on the youthful prospects. Now, they're not actually in the first team squad as of yet, because the majority of them are out on loan at some other clubs. Now, for Farsley Celtic, you may actually note that they are not at their original stadium. They've actually moved to the Farsley Stadium, holding just under £20,000. What you may also notice is that Eddie Howe is no longer the manager of Farsley Celtic Football Club. It's actually Max Porter, and Jeremy Sarmiento is their club captain, a well-known player for those who play the game. Where are Farsley Celtic now, though, I wonder? And you probably would have guessed that they didn't stay in the Championship for long. They are now playing their football in the Premier League. They've just finished off season 31-32, just below Aston Villa, in 15th place. What a rise for the club since the start of the experiment. In season 29-30, they actually managed to gain promotion to the Premier League, finishing second, only 3 points behind Brentford. That is some rise, and since then they have been able to stabilise themselves as a Premier League club, finishing their first season in the top flight division of football in 15th place. Even just the Premier League, where Farsley Celtic have actually done pretty well in the Carabao Cup, they were able to beat Nottingham Forest 3-0. In the third round, it was another 3-0 result against Birmingham City away from home. As for the fourth round, a 1-0 win against Queen's Park Rangers. I just noticed the goal scorer also. A 1-0 win against Queen's Park Rangers put them through into the quarterfinals, where they were unfortunate to lose 4-0 against Leicester City. As for the FA Cup, it was a 2-1 win against Plymouth Argyle at home. Fourth round, a 3-0 result against Sheffield United. It went to penalties against Leicester City in the fifth round, drawing 2-2 before Farsley Celtic were victorious on penalties. But then it was heartbreak for the Celtics, losing on penalties to Tottenham Hotspur after drawing 2-2, and that is quite a penalty shooter as well. Looking at the most current season in 31-32, it was an early exit for Farsley Celtic, losing 2-1 away from home to Hull City. For the FA Cup, however, a 4-1 win against Reading saw the Celtics move into the FA Cup fourth round, where they were victorious away from home at Manchester City, winning 2-1. 2 goals from Aidan Harwood, which put the Celtics into the fifth round against Ipswich Town, where they were going to the quarterfinals after an extra time win, winning 3-1. Danny Namaso scoring a hat-trick, 2 goals in 2 minutes, pushing them through to the quarterfinals, where they were beaten away against Southampton. So there is progress for the Cups for Farsley Celtic. Now, I do want to make note of the transfer activities for Aveley Football Club. £235,000 being spent in season 28 and 29, the most coming from Chesterfield for a player of Jamari Clark. £200,000 being spent this time around. For the following season, it was only £5,750, which was spent on Colin Kavanagh from Whiston Albion. The majority of the players, or the rest of the players, shall I say, coming in on free transfers. Season 30-31 saw Aveley spend £56,000. Again, the majority of that coming from Brody Hughes from Peterborough United for £40,500, and up to the most current season in 2031-2032, a further £230,000 being spent, with the highest fee coming from Benjamin Arthur at Bristol City for £89,000, which was a fee rising up to £120,000. But still, they are in a very suitable position in League One. Now, you may remember in season 27-28 for Farsley Celtic, they only spent £9.25 million that season. However, they spent £129 million in season 28-29. The highest fee being paid as £51 million for Facundo Pelistri from Sheffield United. That's almost half of the transfer fees that they have been paying for that season. Half of it going on this one player alone. The next season was another £1 million spent, £104 million to be precise, and the highest fee going to Sander Berg for £40.5 million, the player from Burnley. The following season, only the £67 million that was spent, and the highest fee was for Aidan Harwood. Now, you remember Aidan Harwood scoring those 2 goals, which saw Farsley Celtic beat Manchester City in the FA Cup. Scott McTominay also moving to Farsley Celtic for £6.75 million, which is a fee rising up to £10.25 million. As for the most current season, this is the player that I wanted to make note of. Estevao joining the Celtics for £19.75 million from Chelsea. Joe Gomez also joining the Celtics on a free from Paris Saint-Germain, and Francisco Berenguer coming to the Celtics for £10.5 million from Atletico Madrid. You wonder why they're in the Premier League. This is why. The money is being thrown about like nobody's business from Stephen Maxwell. He doesn't care how much money is being spent, so long as the right players being brought in, and so far it's proving to be a very good investment for the club. But we've gone a few more years ahead now, and we are looking at Aveley Football Club, who are still in the Sky Bet League One. And it does look as though Aveley actually finished in a very, very respectable 4th position, losing in the playoffs by the looks of it, with Huddersfield going up as the playoff winners. Wigan and Charlton also going up into the Championship. Rather tense 0-0 draw away at Fratton Park, seeing Aveley taking the home tie back to Parkside, where it was success for Aveley Football Club as Abraham Kanu and Haig Dunzinski scoring the winning goals for Aveley Football Club against Portsmouth, sending them through to Wembley. But it was heartbreak on the final day. Aveley just couldn't get across that finishing line, pushing them up to the Championship. It was actually an 89th minute goal for Huddersfield that drew the scoreline level, as Richard East had opened the scoring for Aveley in the first half before Kevin Zeffy scored 2 goals back to back in extra time, sending them up to the Championship. Heartbreak for Aveley and Stuart Maxwell. As for Farsley Celtic and Stephen Maxwell, his side still playing in the Premier League, and a notable mention actually as well to Everton, who did win the most current Premier League title, 1 point against their arch rivals Liverpool. Farsley Celtic finishing in 15th place. It does appear that they've actually found themselves in quite a fairly comfortable position over the last few years, with Farsley Celtic finishing no higher than 13th, but nonetheless they are still a Premier League team. And I am going to ask the question as to how much money Farsley Celtic and Stephen Maxwell have actually spent. Well, in 2032-33, it was a very nice cool 83 million, with 24.5 million being spent on Tommy Doyle from Brighton and Hove Albion. Actually, just a quick note as well, Martin Odegaard being signed on a free transfer as well. Some really big clubs that Farsley Celtic are actually signing players from, the likes of Inter Milan, Tottenham Hotspur and Paris Saint-Germain. For the following season, it was actually £196 million that they spent. The majority of that coming 50 million for Tej Rudolph from West Ham United for 50 million, and Julian Timber also from West Ham United for 44 million. Eric Garcia joining from Barcelona also for 15.25 million. Some very, very notable names there to mention. The season after, it was 130 million. Floriento Luis from Aston Villa for 5.25 million, but Fernando signing from Newcastle United for 40 million, which was a fee rising up to 52 million. Levi Colwell signing from Chelsea as well for 20.5 million. Again, some more big names, and Kaiki also signing there from Atletico Madrid. The season after, this is just getting stupid. 279 million. Thomas Tudor signing from Wolverhampton Wanderers for 54 million, rising up to 69 million. And Zambrano also signing from Manchester United for 66 million. I won't go through all of them, but I'll tell you what, some of these figures are just downright stupid. This is getting absolutely ridiculous. Only the 104 million in season 36-37 for Farsley Celtic. I really do wonder how much money is left for Stephen Maxwell. There can't be that much left, surely. 34.5 million, rising up to 44.5 for Sam Warway from Aston Villa as well. And up to the most current season, well, I did just mention how much money Stephen Maxwell might actually have, and I actually didn't bring in a single player in the most current season. It is now May 2048, and by the looks of it, looking at the division section at the top of here, that Aveley Football Club are in the Sky Bet Championship. Actually, no, they're not. They've just been relegated, finishing in 22nd in the Championship. 1 point below Reading, 2 points below Wrexham, and 3 points below Wigan and Queen's Park Rangers. However, look who's just won the championship. Farsley Celtic Football Club. We'll come back to them in a minute. But we're not going to worry about the doom and gloom of relegation from the championship for Aveley. Actually, in 2044-45, they actually got themselves promoted up to the championship, going up in second place, only 2 points behind Hull City, along with Bolton Wanderers, who also got promoted through the playoffs. Actually, whilst we're on the subject of success, lifting trophies, this was another trophy to add to the collection for Aveley Football Club, and this was in the form of the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. A 2-0 win against Peterborough United away from home, starting off their campaign, before a 2-1 win against Chelsea under 21s. And then it was a 1-0 win away from home against AFC Wimbledon, which saw Aveley go through to the second round of the Bristol Street Motors Trophy Southern section, where they were actually successful in beating Southend United 2-1, and that was even after going down to 10 men. For the third round, it was Havant and Waterlooville who Aveley were victorious over, a 1-0 win, only goal scorer coming from Ryan Pope, before a quarter-final fixture with against Charlton Athletic. 3 goals for Aveley, 1 for Charlton, pushing Aveley through to the semi-finals, where it was a 1-0 win against Cardiff City. Franklin Daniel, the only goal scorer in the game, getting Aveley to the cup final at Wembley, where they were able to beat Hartlepool United 2-1. Only their second trophy that Aveley have won, second to the Sky Bet League 2 title, and that was in front of just over 22,000. 2 goals from Kevin Edwards, 1 from Andrew Martin for Hartlepool United, lifting the trophy for Aveley Football Club. And it was actually back-to-back Bristol Street Motor Trophy finalists for Aveley Football Club, lifting the trophy 2 times in 2 years against Salford City this time around at Wembley in front of just under 17,000 supporters. Pip Rolfe scoring for Salford City in the 14th minute before Shane Little equalised for Aveley 6 minutes later. David Singer then put Aveley 2-1 up in the 66th minute, and that is how the cup final finished. Aveley Football Club winning the Bristol Street Motors Trophy 2 times in 2 years. Great success for the club. So I did actually mention not long back that Farsley Celtic did actually win the Sky Bet Championship. They actually finished top in 47-48, finishing on 90 points, 6 points above Leicester City, who finished in second, with Aveley being relegated. Now, I am sure that this is actually the first time that these two clubs have actually been in the same league as one another. So actually, it was only last season where Farsley Celtic actually got themselves relegated in 2046-47, finishing in 19th. But before that, actually finishing in 9th the previous year in 45-46. Before that, it was 13th, and actually a highest Premier League top table finish, finishing in 7th. So actually, quite a strange turn of events for the club. But now they are back where they probably belong, in the Premier League. And actually in 2044-45 it was cup final heartbreak for Farsley Celtic and Stephen Maxwell, as the Celtics lose 4-1 to Aston Villa at Wembley Stadium, what could have been their first attempt at European football. And it is now the 1st of June 2058, a whole 25 years forward into the future from where we first started. And one standout note is that Aveley Football Club are still in the Sky Bet Championship, so positive thoughts right there. And also, actually, they've built themselves a new stadium. They have moved from Parkside into the thoroughly named Aveley Stadium, holding just over 29,000 supporters in capacity. But my question is, have Aveley hit the heights of the Premier League? But just a quick look at the current championship season, Aveley finishing in 5th place, and by the looks of it, they were beaten in the playoffs, whether that may be the semi-finals or the finals. We'll have a look at in just a second. And just a quick shout out actually, Maidstone United finishing in 13th in the championship. That's some pretty good going. And the Midlands clubs also going back up into the Premiership. Again, some very, very good opposition for Coventry, Leicester and Derby County to look forward to in the Premier League. Let's have a look to see if Aveley were also in the Premier League at some point. Was right, Aveley were beaten in the playoffs. But it looks like the playoff semi-finals, losing to Portsmouth at home 1-0 before, but it looks like losing 2-1 away from home at Fratton Park. Portsmouth still playing at Fratton Park 25 years on. Actually, just a quick mention as well. May not be cup success, but Aveley did get through to the Carabao Cup semi-finals, where they were beaten quite thoroughly actually, but it looks like 3-0 away from home at the brand new Bobby Moore Dock Stadium, Everton Football Club, and then being beaten at home 2-0. So they may not have actually got to the final, but they were very, very close to getting to a Carabao Cup final. The question that we was all trying to find the answer to was, did Aveley Football Club go up to the Premier League? Yes, they did, although they did finish in 20th place, in that 20-54-55. However, they did go straight back up after finishing 4th in the championship, winning the playoffs before going back down again to the championship from the Premier League, finishing in 19th place. So a somewhat of a yo-yo experience for Aveley Football Club at the minute. But the question was, could they have got there? They did get there. 25 years since the very start of this experiment, and Aveley Football Club did get into the Premier League. Fantastic for Stuart Maxwell and his club. The other side of this experiment, Farsley Celtic still knocking about with the big boys in the Premier League. Really good to see. Still playing at the Farsley Stadium, holding just under 27,000 spectators. Let's have a look to see if there was any more success for Farsley Celtic and Stephen Maxwell. At the end of this current season, Farsley Celtic did actually finish in 16th place, and they were only 1 point above Brentford, who got themselves relegated on 39 points, whilst Farsley Celtic managed to secure 1 point, which has actually kept them up in the Premier League. 16th place might have been okay for Farsley Celtic in this season, but last season in 2056-57, Celtics managed to secure Champions League football, able to finish 5th in the league, maybe at the expense of Aveley, who did get themselves relegated. But I'll tell you something, I wasn't expecting Champions League football to be coming to Farsley Stadium. Let's have a look to see how those results got on. Well, it was a trip to Ibrox Stadium for Farsley Celtic against Rangers, being able to beat Rangers 2-0 away from home, 2 goals in the first half, and even going down to 10 men in the first half, but Celtics managed to hold on to a 2-0 win, and that was followed up by a 1-1 draw away at AS Roma, a brilliant point away from home at the Stadio Olimpico. Unfortunately, that was followed up with a 2-1 loss at home to Inter Milan, another Italian giant, but this time around Celtics weren't as lucky as what they were against AS Roma. Away from home as well, it was a 2-2 draw against Lille, and it was 2 goals in the first half for Celtics, and it was also 2 goals in the first half for Lille as well, and both teams actually going down to 10 men as well, so not a bad point away in France, which was also then followed up by another draw, 1-1 against Turkish outfit Beşiktaş. So they're picking up the points, Celtics, but are they going to secure any more wins? Well, yes they are. They actually managed to pick up a 2-1 win against Portuguese legend Benfica. 2 goals in the first half. Benfica were playing with a goal in the second half, even with Celtics going down to 10 men, but they were able to hold on for the win. Unfortunately, that was then hit with a 4-0 loss away at Real Madrid, so playing against some very, very tough opposition with the likes of Real Madrid and Inter Milan, but the best is yet to come, because Celtics were able to beat Paris Saint-Germain at home 2-0. a goal either side of half-time, securing a famous 2-0 victory against the French champions. That actually managed to put Celtics into the playoffs. Amazingly, it was a 2-1 win against Bayern Munich, 2 goals for Maxwell, giving Celtics a fantastic 2-1 lead going into the second half. However, that was then met with a 3-1 loss in Bayern Munich. Michael Rice scoring 2 goals, with Cabella also getting on the score sheet for Bayern Munich, with Francisco Manuel picking up a goal for Farsley Celtic, losing out at the playoff round. I'll tell you something, they might not have actually won the Premier League or anywhere near anything like that, but to gain football into the Champions League is a success on its own. What a result, what a season for Farsley Celtic. And I would actually like to point out that it was actually the second Champions League campaign that Farsley Celtic actually got themselves into, because they finished 5th in the Premier League in 52-53, whilst my team, Aston Villa, winning the Premier League 3 points above Everton. However, Farsley Celtic finishing 5th, guaranteeing them Champions League football. I know I said it last time, but I'm going to say it again this time. Let's have a look at the results. Farsley Celtic actually started their first ever Champions League campaign with a 2-1 win away at Besiktas. 2 goals in as many minutes for Celtic before Besiktas responded a minute later, but Celtic managing to hold on to that slim 2-1 lead, and they took that over to Rangers as well, where they were able to beat the Scottish outfit 2-1, same as the game against Besiktas. 2 fairly early goals in the first half, giving Celtic that 2-1 win. And how's about this for a result? So 2 wins out of 2 so far, before playing up against Barcelona, drawing 2-2 with the Spanish Giants, actually taking the lead in the 4th minute. Francisco Manuel scoring the opening goal for Celtic before Barcelona responded with 2 goals of their own, but Celtic able to score just before half-time, and that is how the game finished. But another fantastic 2-1 result away in France this time around. 2-1 win against AS Monaco. Egberto and Aveley scoring the goals for Farsley Celtic, giving Celtics 10 points on the board so far in their very first debut Champions League campaign. And that wasn't the end of it, oh no. It was a 1-0 win at St. Gallen, at home to St. Gallen, Vivaldi Kabongo scoring the opening goal and the only goal of the game, giving Celtics that 1-0 win. However, that was where the winnings finished, because Celtics were unfortunately unravelled by Portuguese giants Benfica, losing 3-2 at home. However, that wasn't the end of it, because a famous 2-0 win at the Santiago Bernabeu, Real Madrid. How about this for a result? 2-0 winners in Madrid, Farsley Celtic taking home the 3 points. And that wasn't that, because Celtics were able to beat Bayern Munich 3-1 at home. I tell you something, these results are absolutely fantastic for the club. Stephen Maxwell grinning from cheek to cheek, resulting in a world famous scoreline against the German Giants. But unfortunately, this was where it started to collapse. Now, Farsley Celtic may have actually beaten Real Madrid in the league phase already 2-0 this season, but Real Madrid did manage to get their revenge at the Santiago Bernabeu, picking up a 2-0 result, taking that back over to Farsley Celtic, where they were also able to beat Farsley Celtic 1-0, winning 3-0 on aggregate. But I'll tell you something, for a debut campaign in the Champions League for Farsley Celtic, that is not bad going. And you know what? I am going to end the video on that note, because the experiment was to see which would be better, money or youth intake. And I do believe that money which was spent well by Stephen Maxwell, bringing in the right players, even when Farsley Celtic was back down in the Vanarama National League North Division, taking them all the way up to the Premier League and even beyond into the Champions League. That is a victory in itself. But you know what? That's no shy away from Aveley Football Club, who were able to get themselves up into the Premier League as well with some of their fantastic youth players. Now, if you have liked this video, guys, please hit that like button. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. The channel is growing rapidly. We've just gone over 2,000 subscribers, so I can only thank you enough for watching, guys. If you have liked it, carry on watching. There's plenty more experiments to come, and I've already got my mind set on the next experiment coming up very soon. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you all soon. Take care.